Hey, we're back. If you maybe listened to last week's episode, you know that this is kind of a continuation from the discussion about Daredevil and, doing things hand over fist and, just generally talking about comics and all sorts of things. Frank Miller and we mentioned products that contain high levels of high fructose corn syrup. Maybe. I don't even know if that's in candy bars. I'm just making that shit up, really. But yeah, stay tuned and welcome back.
Hotcakes.
Like hotcakes. Stop. Like hotcakes.
Hand over fist.
Yeah. But
what the fuck does that even mean? Hand over fist. You put your hand, or we're selling this hand over fist. We're hiring hand over fist.
I'm gonna go ahead and while I'm visualizing it,
Yeah.
I'm seeing like here's my hand is presenting the good to the customer, and my fist is taking their money.
Maybe,
but I don't understand
Well,
the
that's like-
correlation between that being.
Do you guys-
Of
Why
course
is that
you
a
would.
phrase?
I mean, because you're doing it like so quickly, like you got to do it all at the same time, as opposed to like, oh, here's your food. Here, let me take your money and count it. Okay, you've got exact change. Here you go.
Yeah.
Fuck-a-da-da-ba-da-do.
Yeah.
He turned into the WB frog.
Well, it's like, you know what they
Hello,
say,
my honey. Hello, my baby.
keep your hand at the level of your eye in Phantom of the Opera. You know why they
Yeah.
say that?
Why?
Because
the noose.
yeah, you keep
The
your hand at the
magic
level of
noose?
your eye. Yeah. They throw the noose around your head
Yeah.
or whatever and stuff like that. That's kind
Yeah.
of cool. So that makes sense. Hand over fist. Who knows? Keep your hand at the level of your eye. That's right.
Yeah,
Watch
makes
out for
sense.
those magical fist
Noose eye.
nooses.
Anything for a Weber reference, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it twice on Broadway.
Oh man, I saw it once
good.
at the Kennedy
So
Center.
good.
I saw the film with Emmy Rossum and Gerard
I'm
Butler.
sorry.
It's alright. I
Oof. Sorry, I watched it.
That's
recently.
actually another movie. My dad loves that movie. At the end of that, he never really liked musical stuff. The scene at the end of the Emmy Rossum, Gerard Butler, Joel Schumacher. I'm just gonna name Patrick Wilson and everyone in the movie. Minnie Driver.
10 minutes later.
Yeah. Phantom of the Opera. The scene at the end, which is not in the Broadway play, is when old Patrick Wilson, Raoul, goes to the gravesite of Christine Daae. And there's a rose there, which means the Phantom has been there. And I remember my dad was kind of suffering through the movie because I saw it at the Kennedy Center. I was like, hey, with my mom and stuff. I was like, let's go watch the movie afterwards just for fun or whatever. I don't know. And that scene happened with the rose there. My dad turned to me. He was like, oh, that was cool.
Kiss from a rose.
He freaking loves. He loves Phantom of the Opera.
I watched it relatively recently, which I guess at this point is almost like 2 years ago. But
Did you say when you first got to New York?
yeah. So I had
On Broadway you're talking about?
No, the Broadway versions I saw in high school when I was in theater, and we would do like the trip to New York to see Broadway shows. But I saw the movie a couple years back while I was living in New York, and like just it was so painful to watch from like a cinematography standpoint. Like it's just bad.
They also
And
have
then,
the
like,
chandelier
Gerard
come down at
Butler-
different times, which is kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand.
Comes by at the end.
Yeah, I understand why they do it in the end, whatever. But like,
Yeah.
I always remember fans would always joke it as like the evil sunburn, like the his disfigurement.
Yeah, it's not that
It's not
bad.
that bad. Like
Yeah, no.
on the Broadway show, I mean, of course, they make it as hideous as possible because you have
Because
to
you
see
gotta
it from
play for the
far
back
away.
row, yeah.
And like you see his skull, his like teeth hanging out,
Yeah.
like it's super gross.
It kind of
and-
looks like the silent movie version where it's just.
Oh yeah,
like
that's
hideous
fascinating with Lon
disfigurement.
Chaney. What he would do with
Yeah.
rubber band
Wires
like
and
wires
stuff.
and stuff. But
Clayface.
in the excuse me, in the
Basil Carlo. Yeah.
in the novel, he's described looking like a mummy, and there's a great visual of Christine grabbing at his face and scratching, and it's like wax coming in her fingers when she peels off his face and stuff. Like
yeah.
it's super intense, super
The,
metal too.
ever see the sequel, Love Never Dies?
No, couldn't
Yeah.
do it.
It's takes place in Coney Island.
Supposedly before it was
Where
like
everything
officially
goes to
done.
die.
Yeah.
Before it was officially done, there was this article I saw where Angela Lloyd Webber's cat accidentally deleted a chunk of the music from the keyboard. It like ran across it, and people were like the savior. This cat was the savior for like people didn't want to. People did not care. They did not want to know what happens after Phantom. That was the general consensus because it's such a big thing that some people are like, oh, Phantom, it sucks, or whatever. And I think it's a generally really good musical, has some really great music in it.
Yeah.
I think if we're going to talk about musicals for a second, I got to go with Les Mis. Probably has my favorite like music in terms of like songs and stuff.
It's got some of the best set pieces too, because that was another one that we saw on Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
It's a relatively minimalistic set. Like you see like Phantom of the Opera and it's just gaudy as all hell.
Oh,
like
when it opens with the lot 666 and then like they have like the with the little illumination and then the organs kick in. Dun, 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 dun. And then like you just see like the
I never thought I would see a cold open in a musical.
Oh yeah, and you're transported back to the past.
So like the that scene is very minimalistic in Phantom, but the rest of it is just like set pieces, ridiculous things, because it's all taking place inside an opera house, so like it makes sense. But Les Mis is more or less one set piece that rotates around to shift, to be like, oh, now we're in a different location.
Even when they do like the barricade and stuff, or do they?
Yeah, like it's so. I don't know if like every presentation of it is the same, but the show that I saw, which was like early 2000s,
I think it's coming back to Broadway, or it's back already.
It really was just like these like two big pillars that had like this bridge thing kind of connecting them. And then like the scene would change and like the bridge would like, come up like a drawbridge and like the two big pillars would move around and then like you would see it like kind of like hug itself in different ways and like that's how they made the barrier. Like they just slammed together instead of having the bridge connected, and then like it would spin like 180 and like boom, it was the inn that like that's Master of the House takes place.
Well, that's kind of like what Sweeney Todd would do. They'd have like the giant squared kind of like thing, and they just spin it around and it had different faces to represent different things, but the one constant was the top was the
barbershop.
The barbershop.
Yeah, and
very cool.
So hands down, like regardless of the music, Les Mis is like one of the musicals that I have the most respect for.
Yeah, I got to see that one.
And actually, for me, it's pretty much a toss up between Les Mis and Phantom. Like I would probably.
I like Sweeney Todd a lot as well.
I don't know. Tim Burton ruined Sweeney Todd for me.
I like to.
I mean, Jersey Girl made it cool, and then a couple years later, Sweeney Todd.
Well, I think Sweeney Todd usually is a very low, sinister sounding voice, where Johnny Depp has a very more the trouble kind of range. Yeah. I thought he did an okay job.
Speaking of Jersey Girl, aka Kevin Smith, and Sweeney Todd, aka Johnny Depp, I saw Tusk.
Oh yeah,
and I know I kind of was like, oh my god, we got to talk at the bar on Friday.
Yeah.
But oh my god, everything you said, like spot on. Like I totally 100% agree. I listened to the Smodcast where they came up with the idea.
Yeah. So the Walrus and the Carpenter.
Yeah. So if anyone wants like 250 ish. And it's called The Walrus and the Carpenter. Listen to the whole episode. They spend the entire hour and a half just like basically snowballing, or not snowball,
well, it starts with a
spitballing. Thank you.
Snowballing. That's a Kevin Smith reference, right?
That is.
I mean, they basically start off kind of like him and Scott Mosier, one of his best friends and producers for most of his films, kind of talk about just daily events or something that they found that's funny, and they come across his ad, and basically it starts off as like a joke, and it becomes halfway through, which is why I wanted Chris to hear it, because it's a fantastic moment. Like you don't always hear this or see this happen in the arts or whatever you want to call it, movies, music. There's a moment in the podcast where you hear it stops being a joke and it stops being funny, and you hear Kevin Smith hit that ping of inspiration.
Yeah, and
it's awesome because then it becomes, hey, this isn't funny anymore. I want to make this movie.
Yeah, and like I as a fellow filmmaker and someone who's kind of going through like kind of a slump where I'm not feeling very creative, like I totally relate to how he's feeling while they're recording that podcast. Like he's done Red State, but like it didn't.
Well, he was basically ready to make basically one more movie and call it a career.
Yeah.
And Tusk changes everything.
Yeah. And like after listening to that podcast, like I feel like that's the perfect state of mind to be in when you go and watch the movie, because then like no matter how ridiculous the movie is, because it doesn't pull any punches. It's like, no, we're going balls to the walls. It's a movie about a guy who drugs another dude and forces him to wear a walrus suit. Like you can't make that quote unquote a serious movie, So like fuck trying to. Let's just make something that we want to make.
Yeah.
Let's make something that's fun to make. And like I started listening. Kevin Smith after watching the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Smith also posted a couple podcasts where he does things. He has a recording of like a Q&A that he does after the premiere at the Toronto Film Festival, and like you hear him talking about, or like he has Justin Long and the other stars in the movie there, and like Justin is like, yeah, my manager or my agent or whatever told me not to do this, and like no
sane individual would do this.
Yeah, right. It's like this would be career suicide or whatever, and Justin's just like, but I wanted to make this movie to see if you would actually do it, to see if you actually could follow through on it, and I was like, that's a beautiful, like, and he wasn't being narcissistic, not narcissistic, it was from a place of love, it wasn't like you're an idiot for trying to make this movie, I want to see you fail. Like it was like, I want to see this actually happen because you have that twinkle in your eye again, it's like, and I was like, the after that the movie became like such a beautiful thing to me. And
it's not my favorite Kevin Smith movie, and love it or hate it, but one thing you will see is a man totally like inspired to be a filmmaker again.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I mean, like I said, there's plenty of great Kevin Smith movies, but I don't know if we've seen this like an inspired Kevin Smith like this since Clerks.
Yeah,
I mean, because it's
say,
it's like Kevin Smith 2.0.
Yeah, it's as raw as Kevin Smith was in Clerks, and pretty much, relatively speaking, same like budgetary, abilities. And
yeah,
and
I mean,
whatnot.
like it's in. As in 2.0, it's like $3 million, but it's still a low budget for Kevin Smith. I mean, that's kind of his thing. He knows he can make a movie for cheap. But yeah, it's really cool because then you also hear he brings the guy on. Basically, the article that he came across was a hoax, but it was like, if you dress up like a walrus, you get free room and board, and that was it. And Kevin Smith brings the guy's in the movie. He plays the bartender, I believe. Mm-hmm. And he brings
he's a patron at the
bar. Yeah, he brings this guy on who's kind of like this like professional hoaxer kind of guy, and basically thanks him on his podcast for like, this guy. If you picked any other animal, but for some reason I heard walrus and that was it.
Yeah,
and it was cool. Like I said, how many times can you hear someone who's who's kind of like I said, on a slump, but you hear this ping of inspiration happen and they catch it on audio, like they have that forever.
I bet you if that hadn't been recorded on that podcast, it probably would have just gone out into the ether, because he probably would have forgotten about it.
Because he starts to convince himself, and there's there's a little bit of doubt because he's like, I'm making a movie about a man who gets turned into a freaking walrus, and Scott Mosier's kind of like, yeah, and then he he puts out that thing. He's like, walrus yes or walrus no, and he said the next day it was just like, walrus yes, holy shit.
Yeah, there was the next day, like he said something, there was thousands of walrus yeses and only one walrus no.
Yeah, the walrus no was one guy saying, I want you to make the movie, which is for the process of democratic stuff. I'm saying walrus no, please make the movie anyway. I want this to happen.
You actually saw another movie though recently, Chris. You saw Furious 7.
I did. I the 7th installment, as the title suggests, of the Fast and the Furious franchise.
Furious 7, the 8th film in the franchise.
You never know; they could be crazy.
Kind of like Rambo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
First Blood Part 2.
Yeah, and then Rambo 3, and then Rambo. Yeah, it's like Rocky 1, which is Rocky, Rocky 2, Rocky 3, Rocky 4, Rocky 5.
Yeah,
Rocky Balboa.
The 4th one was called Fast and Furious. Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, chronologically speaking, within the film's timeline.
It is the 7th. It is the 7th chronologically within the franchise's timeline.
Yeah.
Tokyo Drift is technically like 6.5.
Okay.
Because certain certain things happen like overlapping with Furious 6. Just because like that credit scene with Jason Statham takes place kind of most like 3/4 of the way through Tokyo Drift, and then there's a huge gap between where that scene takes place and the end of Furious 6. Like at least a year has passed between the actual like end, the plane scene in Furious 6 and the start of Tokyo Drift. and then that scene is later in that year.
Han has been in Tokyo for some time.
Yeah. He's established himself in Tokyo. So like that's why I say at least a year, but probably more like, I don't know. Based on how like cool and relaxed he is in Tokyo, I would say it watching Tokyo Drift on its own, you'd say, oh, okay, he's just lived in Tokyo all of his life because he's that in. I mean, who knows? I don't know what kind of connections he had in Tokyo. It always. In the other Fast and Furious movies, it sounded like he had never been there, and like that was his big draw to like he wanted to go. But yeah, it was really, really good. Going into it, my favorite in the series was Fast 5 because I didn't think you could top dragging a safe through Brazil with two cars that look like they don't even weigh as much as the safe. But I'm leaning more towards 7. Like I think they might have topped it. It's almost 2/3 of it is almost like car stunts. Various types of car stunts, which is what the franchise is known for. That's their big selling point.
And it keeps with the theme of it being more heist oriented, like the second half of the franchise.
Yeah,
more action, less race.
Exactly. Yeah, there's not. Well, okay. There's one race for sure, in it, but yeah, for the most part, it's more along the lines of like 5 and 6, where it's basically Dominic and his team have been hired by Kurt Russell, who plays.
Well, that's right. Kurt Russell's in the movie.
Yeah, I didn't know that going into it.
I saw him in the trailer.
I was like, fucking Kurt Russell.
Good to see him again. Good to see him again.
Yeah, I had just watched. The Thing like the night before too.
On Laserdisc, right?
Yeah.
Is it awesome on Laserdisc?
It's beautiful on Laserdisc. But back to Furious 7. Then I can talk about Laserdiscs for like an hour if you guys want to. But Furious 7, like Kurt Russell is the lead. I mean, if you don't want to know anything about the movie, cover your ears for like the next 5 or 10 minutes because I'm gonna gab about it. But Kurt Russell. Plays the head of this like shadow government organization, kind of like the CIA, but like one of those
black ops.
Yeah, black ops that the government doesn't want to admit exists, kind of things. And for whatever reason, he needs to take back some stolen property, but he can't use any government money, so he hires Dom's team. Because they need drivers for whatever reason, same kind of setup of like, oh, just this ridiculous concept that you need to be used. And all the while Jason Statham is trying to kill off all of the members of Dom's team. So, there's two antagonists, Jason Statham. And then, what's his name from Guardians of the Galaxy?
Djimon Hounsou.
Yes, with the weird growths in his forehead that get tore out
in Guardians.
Yeah. Not in Furious 7.
Also, the Leonardo DiCaprio's co-star in Blood Diamond.
Yeah, but yeah, so that's that guy is the one that Kurt Russell's trying to take out, and he's like, if you help me take out this guy, I will help you take out Jason Statham's character, because he's kind of a thorn in our side too, but not nearly as bad as this other guy. So it's all just ridiculous car stunts. They parachute cars out of the back of a carrier plane and land them on this secluded road that apparently there was no other way to get onto the road except for being a very obvious parachute drop to steal back a hacker who has developed this ridiculous algorithm to hijack surveillance and other anything with a camera or a microphone, kind of like Dark Knight with the sonar thing. But I gotta say, like, it was balls to the walls. It was bonkers and beautiful. And I left that movie going, wow, that movie was about as exciting. Like, it was on the same level as how excited I am every time I see a trailer for Mad Max Fury Road. So like that's how high my adrenaline's getting pumped up right now, actually, just thinking about it, just because it was so exciting. I might go see it again. But
You're flush. You're flush.
Yeah. See.
It's got a little hot in here.
Yeah, but just like that comparison, like I know we've talked about Fury Road pretty much the entire time this podcast has been a
pretty
thing.
much since like episode 2 or 3.
I think you can probably make a drinking game out of it and have alcohol
Don't, because
poisoning.
you'd probably be in serious trouble
after like an episode or two.
You'd need a new liver by this point.
Yeah. But like just the fact that like that trailer for Matt, like just seeing the comparison made me realize, wow, if that trailer is that cool, I can't wait for the movie. And I know this started out as a Furious 7 review, and now I'm talking about Mad Max Fury Road, but
that's the movie I'm looking forward to most this year.
I'm a huge fucking Star Wars fan, and I am excited to see what J.J. Abrams does to it, because it, based on the little footage that they've, shown and the little things that they've let leak out, like it looks like, kind of a return to its, former glory.
Mm-hmm.
But I gotta say, I am way more excited for Fury Road.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think that?
Don't tell Kevin.
Yeah. Do you think it's rewatching the movies that's done that, or do you think it's just...
like the trailers, man. Mm-hmm. Like all the way from No Look Lizard Stomp to just it's a beautiful day.
Yeah. It's I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
I mean, you won't have to soon. It's coming.
That's
true.
True.
It's only like, what,
That's
a
true.
month away?
About a month away at the time this thing posts.
Yeah,
God,
exactly.
that,
Exactly a month.
Ultron.
That and the Batman v Superman trailer attached.
Ultron's before
that
it.
trailer.
Yeah. By the time this posts, there'll be 16 days until Age of Ultron.
And there will have been a new Ant-Man trailer, apparently, too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of new trailers, True Detective Season 2.
Oh.
We've talked so much about, the first season of True Detective. Obviously, completely new cast, completely new story, completely new setting for Season 2.
New mustache.
Sam, I'm kind of surprised. It looks real like dark and moody.
Yeah. It's almost like all the people that said that online, and there was quite a few.
I actually didn't see any. Like, all I saw was you upset about it. But
well, like all like the trade magazines, like Variety and stuff, it's like True Detective reveals moody new trailer, and it's like, guess what? All of True Detective Season 1 was fucking moody.
And I guess that's... I mean, that was basically like my same reaction with the Luthor news. It's like a U.S. Luthor, not, Idris Elba not coming in.
There was
as
always
Luthor.
always a slight chance, a la Broadchurch to Broadchurch to Grace Point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
at the same-
Or IT crowd to IT crowd.
Yeah.
But this is several news outlets pointing something out so obvious you want to roll it up and beat him over the head with.
I think a more apt comparison was Idris Elba comes back
for the next season.
Yeah. It's like, well,
no,
yeah.
really?
I
The
didn't
titular character?
Yeah.
It's like,
it's not a reboot and it's not a prequel, so I'm not really
it's
surprised.
not going to be Luthor Jr. where his son takes over or something.
Remember, ever watch James Bond Jr.?
Yes.
Oh,
Remember how
man.
much that show fucking sucked?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I don't, because I was perfect target audience for that show.
You would think,
But I bet
you would think me too. You would think me too.
Well, no, see, your problem was that you're actually, like, at that time, I bet you were a huge fan
had already
of
seen,
the movies.
Yeah.
I hadn't. That was that. Actually, you know what? Thinking back, that was my introduction to the character of James Bond.
I guess everybody's got a first.
Yeah.
And that was yours.
Yeah. Luckily, it
Someone's
was all
favorite
uphill
James
from that.
Bond related thing.
It's probably
is that.
James Bond Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah, where he walks up and he's like, "Name's Bond, James Bond, Jr."
Even though he's his nephew. Yeah.
What are we...
Wait, someone
James
dropped
Bond
it.
Jr.
There was a cartoon series in the late 80s, early 90s
That's somewhere thereabouts.
called James Bond Jr.
by Hanna-Barbera, no less.
Yeah, which was basically just the adventures of young Indiana Jones, but
Which was awesome.
yeah,
It was all right.
but
I liked Adventures
but
in Indiana.
his nephew apparently, who was still called James Bond Jr.
Well, okay, then, to be
I don't
fair,
know how that works.
what would you have considered worse? That or the Peter Sellers Casino Royale?
James Bond Jr.
I would.
I mean, I haven't seen.
Good
I would,
answer.
I would
I can
rather.
only assume. I can only assume that a Peter Sellers thing is better.
I would rather watch James Bond Jr.
Oh.
than Peter Sellers Casino Royale, because Peter Sellers Casino Royale is basically 3 different movies thrown together as one super shitty movie. It's a law of averages. If you take three shitty movies,
3 bad movies thrown together, oddly enough, the shit mixing with other shit just continues to be shit.
here's the thing.
You're not an alchemist.
I
fucking-
thought shit would have canceled shit out.
Like, you've got the David Niven portion, which is basically like a spoof. and he tries to class it up because he's David Niven, but it still fucking sucks. Then you've got Peter Sellers, the Peter Sellers portion, which is pretty faithful to the book because Peter Sellers wanted to play it straight. And he was like, yeah, I'm James Bond. And Orson Welles was like, you know what? I'm on screen and I'm a magician. I want to do magic tricks. And he does magic tricks in the movie. And you're like, wow, this fucking sucks too. And then there is a portion of the film where it's Woody Allen as James Bond. And you're like, wow, I want to kill myself. And it's like so fucking bad. And then they all come together. And it's the shittiest thing I've seen from the movies in 1967.
You know what's funny, Sam? You just sold me on watching it with that.
Yes, another one wants to see it.
That does not mean I'm going to like it. I'm just
but you
now.
Want to see
now
it.
I must see it because I want to like you.
You want to compare notes.
You've set the bar so low. I want to see if I can limbo under it.
Yeah, limbo lower now.
You want to watch? You want to add another one to that list?
Yeah.
Try to get through just the trailer for Doc Savage. Like we love Doc Savage. He's the greatest thing of all time. He's better
Not
at
his
everyone than
movie.
everything. Not his movie.
If it was written or directed
If it
by
was
Doc
written,
Savage.
directed, produced, starring,
Score by,
because he's a musician.
yeah,
By
Even
Doc Savage.
catered by Doc
edited
Savage.
Catered by Doc Savage. Yeah, exactly.
Playing all the roles.
Present in the Oscars.
Stunts by Doc Savage.
Yes, stunts by Doc Savage. It would win
in
the Oscar.
Savage Vision.
Yeah, him in Savage Vision. He would present himself the Best Actor Oscar.
and he'd be so humble about it.
Yeah, and then the Oscar would be a little Doc Savage.
And he would
sculpted
not have,
by Doc Savage.
He would not
kinda
have
looks
to be
like
played off by the Doc Savage
Yeah,
music.
the Doc Savage music.
The Doc Savage Orchestra.
Well, the reason is because he would know exactly when to
Conducted by
stop
Doc
talking. He wouldn't. He would say exactly. He would have the perfect speech.
Again, very humble.
Yeah, very
Thanking
humble.
everyone else.
Yes, exactly.
Even though he was the
thanking
one that
all
did
the
all
other
the
Doc
work.
Savages, and then going out and having a lovely day.
Yeah, probably boning someone. But the as you do,
Owning himself because there is no better lover.
as he does.
As is the Savage way.
Yeah, Savage Garden.
Listening to Doc Savage Garden.
Yeah,
Doc Savage Garden.
Can we make a
is
band?
that your band,
Yeah.
Doc Savage
Can we-
Garden?
yeah, it's
Do we have to
it's
be
all-
Australian too?
It's all Savage Garden covers, but we changed the lyrics to fit with the Doc Savage storyline.
Up until, and I kind of hate myself for this, up until I mentioned Savage Garden, I had forgotten they were a thing. And now I remember again, and now I hate myself more.
Just switch to
Yeah.
just switch to Soundgarden.
I can, yeah, that's acceptable.
It's
Remember,
a better garden.
yeah, remember BB Mac? They were right around the same time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Man.
remember anything they did.
Back
but I
here,
remember,
baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're back,
Back
here,
here,
baby.
baby.
Need you, want you.
It's love you, need you, want you. And love
Oh.
you, need you, want you so.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
that
Okay.
goes to show you.
Yeah.
Next topic.
Sure. I did
Shuffle papers.
I did a Super Mario 64 race recently.
Were
It
you
was-
just like doing a speed run or
I wish. It was me and my buddy John, and he was playing it on his
nondescript, John?
Nondescript John. He was playing it on his computer, and I was playing it on a Nintendo 64. And the goal was, because if you use glitches, you can beat Super Mario 64 with 14 stars. But we want to do that shit legit. So we were like,
Too legit.
yeah. And we were like, 70 stars. We're pretty good at Super Mario 64. We can do this in like 2 hours. It didn't take 2 hours. It took like...
We started at like 11:30, and we got home at like 5:30.
Yeah.
I remember we got in the car, and Sam was like, "Holy shit, it's 5 o'clock!"
Yeah. I turned on the car, and the little clock came on. I was like, oh, fuck. Because I thought it was like 3, you know? I was like, oh, maybe it took a little longer than I thought. It took like maybe 4 hours. No, it took like 6 hours.
Yeah,
But, and I still lost.
it was a good showing.
It was. And I do want to take him on in a rematch someday. Not immediately. I don't want to spend every Saturday night of my fucking life playing Super Mario 64.
I feel like if the capabilities do eventually present themselves, that would be something that would be awesome for us to stream.
Yes. Well, we do technically have the capabilities.
Yeah,
for it.
we're working on it. We just we seldom have enough time to get together outside of the podcast recording to figure out the logistics of streaming. So
Right, yeah, I'm not
I've
saying
I've
it's
got
not
it
gonna
down
happen.
within the studio
Yeah.
here, but unfortunately, most of the stuff that we would use to stream with is at John's place.
Yeah, we're all working men.
Yeah.
Or girls.
Sam wasn't the only one to play a game yesterday, because I played a game that
Oh.
was 23 years in the making.
Man,
That was insane.
hold on. I apologize to the non-studio audience. Jake here has the biggest, proudest grin on his face ever. The information he's about to reveal is something near and dear to his heart, and I hope you are all ready to just enjoy what he's about to say.
I played the Rocketeer game on Super Nintendo.
It's funny you mentioned that. I actually had the movie on earlier today.
The movie's fantastic.
The
score is fantastic. The comic character is fantastic.
Billy Campbell is fantastic.
Will Campbell is fantastic. But the game is not. And the thing about the game is...
So humble.
It's funny. I remember one of the guys...
It has none of those elements.
Well, one of the guys that was over there was like, you'll never beat the first level. You'll never beat the first level. And I beat the first level. And then the second level, and the third level, and the fourth level, and the fifth level. But then the thing is, the game gets insane and impossible. And also the game forgets you have a rocket pack. Because in the last level, you're on the side of a blimp, kind of like the movie. And you're like walking up, like you're like on the fin, like on the wing side of it. You're walking and you're fighting Nazis. Okay. I didn't run out of health. I was pushed off the side of the wing by a Nazi, and I fell to my death.
Nazi assholes.
I fell to my death, but I'm wearing a rocket pack. I couldn't save myself. And it cuts to the most brutalized Rocketeer you've ever seen. If you get like shot and killed, it's this like bloodied eye, like not his eyeball, but like the glass on his helmet's cracked, and he's like contorted on the ground, like dead. The game's pretty impossible. Like, some of the levels are like fun, I guess. Like if you're like a young kid playing it, you get to like fly around as a Rocketeer and shoot Nazis. But then there's like a flying. It's basically a racing game, a third-person shooter, and a side scroller.
What system were you playing this on?
Super Nintendo.
Okay.
And there's a flying level, but the problem is it's long as fuck. It's so long, and then there's just rockets flying everywhere at you. There's no method to the madness.
The Nazis have better rocket men
than you. So why are they fighting you to get the rocket when clearly theirs can do stuff yours can't? Shit.
Game logic.
There is an NES Rocketeer game.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that one.
It's
a side. That one's just a straight side scroller.
It has to be better, right?
Well, I've seen actual video of that one. Yeah, I mean it's the same old thing. But Sam and I are gonna do something soon where I think we're gonna get the
3-in-1.
The 3-in-1. It's like $60. Not bad.
$60 for a console that plays NES, Super Nintendo, and Sega Genesis games.
Yeah,
I've got a
thing of wonder.
Yeah,
for $60, that's not bad.
If it had Nintendo 64, I would marry it and make sweet love to it basically all the time, and then play video games. Maybe that's how I make
in that order.
It's probably how I make sweet love, ladies.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I just play video games.
Here's the thing. I was watching Sam because I had a good amount of time to watch Sam. Well, yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I should clarify. I was watching Sam play video games.
So what?
This time. And I was watching back. John play and Sam play and John play and Sam play. And Sam does this thing, and I don't think he even know. I don't even knew that he does this until it was pointed out. He probably does, but he'll like be playing with the game, and he's sitting there with the game controller, and he'll do something, and he'll like jump into another world, and he'll stop, and he'll air guitar for a second, and there's no music playing, so he'll be like playing and just start air guitaring because his hands can't do anything right now, and he'll go back to it, and then he'll go drum, and then I videotaped him for a second, and he just will be like, come on, you man, fly, you man. Oh, yes. You see this? This is the A button. I'm gonna show you what the A button does. This is the A button when you jump, and I
get pissed at Mario.
You were getting so pissed. Also, we were like punch drunk by the end of it though, because like it was like
was it Punch Drunk Love?
We watched
starring Adam Sandler.
A great movie.
Yeah.
And
Paul Thomas Anderson. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good movie actually. And we were just like. I swear to God, we're of legal age to drink if we wanted to. We didn't drink any beer.
I had to keep my senses.
Yeah, we were insane by the end of it.
I was only 10 stars behind John at the end of it.
Yeah, it was.
And I've formulated my strategy for that eventual. And I kind of want to race him in Ocarina of Time.
Oh,
that's
Jesus.
If you know anything about Ocarina of Time, that's me going fucking bonkers, because that game is so much. That game is that's an all-day race.
Yes.
And
to be fair, most Zelda games are.
And I can say this: John's better than me. He's always been better than me than Super Mario 64.
John's kind of like a wizard.
He's gotten
at video games.
He's done something.
Would he be a pinball wizard?
Yes,
probably.
No, video game was. God.
Yeah. The
Gall.
Everyone comes from Brighton just to
From Soho down to Brighton.
Yeah, just to watch that ball. But the he's the one of the few people I know that get all 120 power stars in Super Mario 64. I've never been able to do that. I can beat the game just fine, but so I was like, I can beat him. Maybe I can beat him through speed. Like he's got me beat in terms of complete.
But to quote Rocky like crazy, but I figured we'll let that go.
Yeah, crazy fast speed is what we need. Yeah. I'm gonna eat lightning and crap thunder. Every punch is gonna deposit him on Mars. So I took him on, and I don't know. For a while, I had the lead, but I got hung up on Bowser in the Dark World trying to get all.
That was entertaining as shit.
You were getting stressed out watching me do it.
I was, but like you do something where
that game's that level is unforgiving.
I feel like most people know about Mario 64, even if you've never played Mario 64.
Yeah, do you guys have much experience?
It's
in
an
Mario
iconic
64?
game.
Sadly, yes.
No, the 64 was one of the systems that I seldom played.
That's right. You were a Saturn kid.
Yeah.
I think I had
and
an
and
aneurysm
PlayStation
playing that
during
game a few
that time.
times.
Gee, yeah, I mean,
I remember seeing that game as a kid in '96 and like just being like, the game's changed.
yeah.
Because every other Mario game, unless you count Super Mario RPG, was all the Nintendo developed games were just straight up side scrollers, like 2D platformers.
Yeah, 2D.
And then
Like
64
top
just
down.
completely changed it, and it looked so gorgeous in 1996. I was just like,
and then it just like turns into like Sam almost falling off of a thing, and I was like, yeah! I was like freaking out.
Yeah, it's very unforgiving. Though I think the hardest of the 3D platformers, Super Mario Sunshine for the GameCube is really fucking hard too, and so was Super Mario Galaxy 2. The first one was okay, like it's my favorite Mario game, but the second one was really fucking hard. Though you got to ride Yoshi, so it all kind of balanced out. But yeah,
One of Sam's biggest dreams is being able to ride atop a dinosaur. Actually, I think everyone's dream is to be able to ride atop.
Ever since Jurassic Park, I would say.
It started out kind of trying to make fun of Sam, but then I realized, no, that's a legitimate dream.
Yeah, everybody actually wants that. Dinosaurs on a spaceship. Probably my least favorite episode of the Matt Smith Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Not enough running around like a giraffe.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's riding a Triceratops.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Jake can attest, I'm not like a speed run guy where I'm able to like jump like I've got the game like down to a science.
Well, going back and watching Sam and then watching John play, John throws caution to the wind. He's just like, fuck it.
He actually got like 8 game overs.
Yeah, and like he'll just, he's just jumping all over the place and doing stuff. Sam's like very tactical, like this, I'm going to do this. But the thing is, it's like Jenga. You're like, I'm going to do this move, and then he slips, and he's like, I'm going to fucking kill you! Yeah.
I've had those moments, too.
Fucking jump! Your name was Jumpman when you were introduced in the 80s in the original Donkey Kong, so why can't you fucking jump? Yeah. Those are words that left my mouth.
Like, Sam, do you want a Swedish fish? I don't like Swedish fish!
And that all makes sense now.
Not a fan of Swedish Fish. All the same fucking flavor, and it's like the worst flavor of Sour Patch Kids without the sour.
I like Swedish Fish.
So basically, gummy ass.
Yes,
you're in the minority here, Jake.
Yeah.
I guess so.
The three of us.
Fine. More red Swedish Fish for me.
Yeah, no.
You say more red Swedish Fish.
Do
like
they
there's
come in
other
colors?
colors of Swedish
There
Fish.
is. They just stopped.
There are.
There is. I'm an
artist
English
friend?
major. I know how to do English wrong, and
Poorly.
yeah, and it's there's other Swedish Fish colors, and I spelled
are there
colors
different
with
flavors?
a U.
Are there different flavors with a U?
Yeah,
Are there?
yeah. Why would all of them taste like cherry?
I don't know. Why
Why would they have a yellow cherry?
All tricks are the same flavor.
And I'm spelling all these words wrong in my when I'm saying them. Yellow. Yeah, but yeah, there's the.
I guess
I haven't seen them in a long time. But they exist. It's just that the red ones. It's like the red ones were so clearly the most popular that they were like, why are we making shit ones?
Why are we wasting all this money on this terrible food coloring?
I guess why are they even making them? Because I'm the only human who here likes Swedish Fish.
I was always a gummy
not even
Coke bottle
Swedish.
guy.
Ooh, those are good.
That was gummy worms.
Worms are cool. So
Gummy
so
worms
are
are
bears.
Or gummy bears.
Yeah.
Gummy bears.
Oh.
What about the
Different from gummy bears.
the peach rings?
Peach rings are good.
Nope.
Yeah,
These are good.
I wasn't. I know of
Sharks.
those,
Actually, we got those recently. I got those recently. I hate those. I don't know why I got them.
but I like the sharks aesthetically, but I don't like their taste.
Fair enough. But you
But I
see
would
what they're
eat them
what they're
because-
doing
Because I'd be like, yeah, shark.
yeah. You can, I can. I see
that was
what
me
you're doing.
recently.
Yeah.
That was me
I
recently.
see what you're doing and I like it.
Yeah. Stay
but
away
it's
from me.
Not, yeah.
Stay away from me, you shark.
But it's not for me. But yeah, Super Mario 64. That for me, that was the game changer. When I saw that, I was like, I fucking need a Nintendo 64 now. Game over. The end. And yeah, I didn't get one for
This
like
is the end.
my beautiful friend.
You know,
the end.
one game I would have always loved to
song
have
just
seen on
played
that.
the entire time you're sitting there at the Toys R Us looking at it in 64, going, I need this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I'm seeing like
Mother.
napalm
Yeah.
go off in the background, and I'm like dancing around naked and punching mirrors
Yeah,
and
you just-
crying.
You're looking for N64 games. You're like, Father, I'm here to kill you. And you're just like, what the? Fuck you all night long. Yeah. Just going psycho, listening to the Doors.
Chris can now confirm.
I found multicolored Swedish Fish on Amazon.
Yeah. Chia.
There is
Chia,
there's
chia,
a
chia.
red, yellow, and green. I don't see any other colors, but there you go. You have. Oh wait, no. I guess that's kind of an orange, but like in the
Yeah,
picture,
I
it kind of
feel
like
like there's an orange
it
one.
kind of the red and the orange kind of
Yeah,
blend together because it's
see
a
what you do.
compressed
I
color.
see what you're doing there.
I will
Swedish
say
Fish. I see what
I'd
you're doing.
eat Sour Patch Kids over Swedish Fish. I'm just saying, I like Swedish Fish.
That's fair, and that's fine.
You're allowed
fight
to be
you.
wrong.
I'll fight all of you.
There's some
I'll fight you all like Daredevil. I'll take a punch to get closer to your face.
There's
to
some
punch
people.
you.
There's some people that love Casino Royale the most. There's some people that love
Is Swedish Fish the
Casino. No.
The original Casino
Let's
Royale.
be honest. What's the worst candy? Is it Good and Plenty?
bit of honey?
I've never had. Oh, the really chewy thing.
Yeah.
The kind
Well,
that,
if you
like,
can get
takes
to the
your fillings
chewy,
out.
it's like
Yeah.
a brick, and then you get to the chew, and then you're like, I had teeth. Where'd they go?
Yeah, and the gummy takes all your tooth shards out.
Yeah. Where'd they go?
No, black licorice.
Black licorice. You know, I was never a fan of red vines. I like licorice, but I don't like
I don't
red
really like
vines.
Twizzlers.
Neither do I.
I like the cherry
I'm-
flavor more than the strawberry.
super
Yes.
selective with my candies.
I'm
I'm-
very.
I'm mostly just like
chocolate-oriented.
milk chocolate
Yeah.
with some kind of
All right.
crunchy element, like a Crunch Bar or a Mr. Crackle,
Here's
Yeah.
the thing.
or like
Even
chocolate and peanut butter, like
Yeah.
Reese's.
Or
Reese's.
Oh,
Almonds,
outrageous.
Reese's or M&M's. And when I say M&M's, like plain M&M's.
Oh, then Reese's.
What about-
Reese's.
Peanut M&Ms.
I was about to say, what about peanut M&Ms?
Well,
Although
I
would
mean,
pro- I would
we're
probably
going
still-
on like
I-
the same thing. Like
Yeah.
Reese's and M&M's are
Oh,
kind
like
of the
Reese's
same.
Pieces?
Basic. Yeah, Reese's Pieces.
Okay,
Reese's
because
Pieces.
Reese's.
Yeah.
Well,
Reese's
didn't they do
is-
peanut butter M&Ms too?
Yeah,
They
Oh,
did.
yeah. Well,
those are fine. Crunchy M&Ms are where it's at. They brought them back.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
very glad for
Yeah,
that.
those are good.
Yeah.
Those kind of had like
Pretzel
a
M&Ms are good too.
Pretzel
yeah.
M&Ms
Oh,
are fantastic. Yeah.
Chocolate and pretzel is like two of the.
I will
best
say my
things
favorite
to combine.
candy bar, like in terms of like with chocolate on it, is a Heath bar.
Outrageous.
You like the toffee and you like
I do like toffee. I do like paydays. Like
You
a
shake
choc-
that Laffy Taffy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A chocolateless bar is all about payday though. I love paydays.
Paydays are good. Whatchamacallits are good. 100 grand bars.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do they still make whatchamacallits?
White-
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, you can get it. the only place that I've seen it in the last 10 years is the Hershey store in Times Square.
7-Elevens have them.
Do they?
Wow. Chris,
Okay.
yeah.
You gotta look for them.
doing-
Look for
So
'em.
that's the problem. I don't look for them because I'm not like, oh, I gotta have a whatchamacallit.
It's usually on the bottom shelf.
Yes.
Yeah, for-
Now-
Same with the white chocolate
to make you feel
Kit
ashamed
Kats.
to reach all the way down.
Well, it's like
for it.
all this like marquee chocolate
right.
is on top.
Mhm.
And
Top
you gotta-
shelf.
Yeah.
And then some you
Top
can
shelf.
only
It's-
get
it's
in the
rail
king
candy.
size.
Top shelf chocolate. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh man.
Candy.
I love how we decided to geek out on candy.
Well, we gotta fill like.
I mean,
all
it
this
is.
airtime.
It is called Geek Out, and this is something that we are geeking out about.
Well, you can geek
no
out.
holds barred.
Yeah. If you wanted to geek out on like tapestries, like
More power to you, man.
sure, man. There's that.
If you are Scottish Lord, then I am Mickey Mouse.
This man. Did you see the way this man disrespects me? Backhands him into a tapestry.
Just the Indiana Jones sound effect punch.
The thwack. That satisfying thwack.
That's just like a slapstick, literally just slapping.
Yeah.
It's
But,
a good sound effect.
But wait, Josh, what was your like experiences with Mario then? Specifically Mario 64. Oh, you want to go back to candy?
I mean,
I
have
like
you seen
candy
me?
bars.
You don't
Do
get
you
you don't
like
get a beautiful figure
candy
like this
bars?
without eating a lot of candy bars.
You don't make 500 friends without eating a few candy bars
exactly.
Is that what I've been doing wrong?
Yeah.
Not eating enough candy.
Yeah.
Damn it.
first. Oh, look at you.
The snozberries taste like snozberries.
Yeah.
Oh, no, Sam, I got the metabolism of a crack addict. You could just leave me alone in the
Oddly enough,
Hershey
also the
factory
crack
and-
addiction of a crack addict.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, well.
It helps.
Different strokes.
He rides the snake.
Yeah. Sometimes the snake rides him. So, yeah, Super Mario 64.
Yeah, many an aneurysm.
Say it as your favorite Muppet.
Who is your favorite Muppet?
Yeah.
Let's just throw all the questions at Josh at
Yeah, we
once.
have to
At
catch up on
once.
Josh. Get all the questions that we've done on every Geek Out
It's
episode.
geeking
ever.
out on Josh.
Yeah. What's your
Yeah.
favorite James Bond movie of all time?
Yeah.
Ready, go.
Like for real. That one's a serious one.
yeah.
If you want to know.
The first time we see Dalton.
Yeah, Living Daylights. Okay, so we got Dalton covered here.
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
Good. I like
Yeah.
you. I like you. Good
I
job.
guess we got Lazenby covered, too.
It's true. We do have S&P covered.
Brosnan.
You got
Yeah.
25% of Brosnan.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What else?
But yeah, so when you played Super Mario 64, was that just kind of like... Because that really was a game changer, I feel like.
Oh, yeah, no, I grew up with starting on the NES, the SNES, and then,
SNES.
The Game Boy, like Super
Yes.
Mario Land,
yeah,
and
the
6 golden
The
coins.
GB.
the indestructible brick of gaming glory that could bash a skull
Still
in.
have my original white brick Game Boy, or kind of like manila brick Game Boy, or whatever color the fuck that was.
I am very,
I would
very
say
jealous.
that's
Yeah.
eggshell,
Eggshell.
off-white.
It was off-white eggshell.
But-
Back to the
almost a
egg.
beige.
Yeah, the first time
So it looked like the Earth.
booting up Mario 64, just thinking, this is fantastic, this is beautiful, my eyeballs can't comprehend this, I'm just going to go scoop them out now because they are not worthy.
Yeah, I remember like playing Super Mario for the 64. I didn't know. I mean, you figured it out, but I didn't know there was objectives. I thought you just kind of like,
I got lost, and eventually it got to the point where I had no idea what I was doing
Yeah,
anymore in
just
the game.
wandering, Babam Battlefield.
Finding paintings I couldn't enter and being like, why is this happening? Did I break the game? Did I do something wrong?
Yeah. I mean,
Why are you punishing me, Nintendo?
Yeah, I mean that game was one of the all timers,
Yeah.
or even just running around the princess's castle,
Oh, yeah.
like the outside area.
Yeah, and then, much later on with the invention of the internet and things of being where, like, you'd hear rumors about the game and certain secret,
Oh, the idea that Luigi might have been in the game,
yes.
but that which was debunked. He doesn't show up until this DS remake,
Right, or
along with Wario and Yoshi.
trying to attain Yoshi in
No,
the game.
something that is true. Yoshi is in the game.
Yes.
If you get 120 stars.
And that's one of the things that I was never able to do with that game.
Yeah. Again, unlike John, I could only.
But-
I can only beat the game. I can't. I don't even know if I cleared 100 stars.
My most favorite Nintendo game of all time, and funny enough, one a friend owned, I didn't, and I always wanted to see come back in some form, was Earthbound.
Did you ever play Mother 3? Like the fan translation of Mother 3?
No. I mean, I'd grown out of Nintendo after some point, but,
Nintendo's always there.
oh yeah, no, but
It's like Disney World.
Earthbound was like my
Or
one-time
Matt Murdock.
favorite
Yeah.
actual Nintendo property.
No love for Super Metroid?
A very, very difficult game for me, so no, not as much as Earthbound.
Okay. Donkey Kong Country?
Oh, God, I despise that one.
Whoa.
I mean,
That's
no,
a harsh word.
That
That is one way to make enemies.
I don't.
But I'm like, let me pull out the lists.
See, I
Let
didn't
me pull out the lists.
enjoy
Give me your
games
lists.
that were extremely difficult for me. So there were games like Pilot Wings I enjoyed.
Oh, they're one of the few games to give me motion sickness.
Star Fox 64.
That's why he liked it so much.
A little bit.
Star Fox 64 is definitely, I mean, Jake and I have played quite a bit of Star. Maybe that's the next thing I'll challenge John in, who can get the highest score in the single player Star Fox.
But yeah, it was, all the ones I could actually get through and finish.
Complete.
Yeah.
Zelda,
Took quite a while, but eventually got there.
like Ocarina or Link to the Past.
Ocarina.
Okay. It's the
All the ones before that, nope, couldn't do it. Traded them in at Toys R Us.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, Zelda's probably... It's always between Zelda and Mario is my favorite Nintendo property, but I feel like Zelda wins by a hair because there is some shit Mario games. I mean, I'm just saying that there's not some shit Zelda games. Have you ever seen Zelda on the CDI? Like,
I have.
Yeah, Wand of Gamelon or Link's... Oh, God, I'm starting to flashback. Then CDI also had Hotel Mario, which is also brick to the head inducing. Yeah.
I've also seen gameplay of that.
Pretty bad. But, yeah.
Not as bad as Mario's Missing.
I would rather play Mario's Missing than Hotel Mario.
I would rather watch James Bond Jr.
I would rather watch James Bond Jr. than 1967 Casino Royale.
I'd rather play Mario Teaches Typing than watch James Bond Jr.
All I have to do is type.
By the way, speaking, going back real quick to the Casino Royale that you were complaining about, totally was on. Like when I was just looking at laser discs on eBay, it was there, and I was like,
on the cheap.
No, it was like over $10, and I was like, I don't even know this movie.
Yeah,
that's like a $5 at best
tops.
Yeah, especially since I haven't seen it, sight unseen, $5. If it's something like I know I really like I spent like $15-$20 on that Power Rangers movie.
Is that the most expensive Laserdisc?
No,
not counting the Star Wars because that came as a box set.
Right. That
or the Blood Red special.
That was a gift. But
in general,
had I paid for that one, yes, that the Evil Dead 2 Blood Red disc would have been the most expensive because that's not cheap.
The Transform Man, which is William Shatner's debut album, red vinyl.
Yeah,
so that's pretty cool, right?
I love it when they do that.
That's what I'm going to get him to sign at AwesomeCon. Because if there's one thing I want William Shatner to sign, fuck the fact that I have like 3 of his autobiographies.
Yeah, I miss physical media that had tricks like that.
Yeah.
Like Nine Inch Nails had an album where you'd put the CD in, and obviously over time it would heat up in the player. You come back out, and the top half, obviously not the one it's reading, would be a completely different image.
It had heat-sensitive ink or whatever?
Yeah. It would change from like black to like white and
it's like those
digital
mugs that have like
on it.
multiple images based on how
the
hot or cold the
I've
liquid
got
is.
a Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. one that shows Coulson, and then the alien map language is revealed.
Oh, nice. That sounds cool.
Now, you can go ahead and spoil this because I don't give a fuck. And I'm going to assume, and if you guys give a fuck after I ask Josh this,
too bad.
Mention that you give a fuck.
We're going into Stephanie Brown territory here.
Did they ever, unveil what's behind Coulson and the alien map stuff?
Yes.
What's behind Coulson and the alien map stuff?
Yeah, go ahead and reveal that because I don't feel like watching 10 more episodes.
Like the whole mythos or what caused it?
Why does he have the compulsion to make the maps?
Oh,
and then how does that tie into?
It's just
things?
The Kree alien DNA super brought back to life program that left in the coordinates to a city which turned out to be a Kree temple hidden on Earth.
Kree or Inhuman?
Kree temple that was used with the genetic manipulation of people to create the Inhumans weapons people.
That's so cool that the Inhumans are becoming such a part of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the movie tie-ins.
Yeah, but if you think about it, that's the first place in the MCU you'll ever see the Inhumans.
Yes, no, I can confirm that is.
Cannot confirm or deny.
You know what
you can confirm.
Bullshit.
What's bullshit?
Is it World War Hulk when Hulk and Black Bolt face off on the moon?
But it's fake Black Bolt.
Oh, that's right. It's Kree. It's not Kree. It's
Skrull.
Faux Bolt.
Yeah. But still, at the time, we didn't know that, and it's bullshit.
It's the shit kicked out of him off
panel. Because what's her face? Medusa's like, with his master blow, he could smash your bones, and he's just like, enough. And it's like, wah, 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 and blows Hulk to the other side. And the Hulk runs up. He's like, I came here to hear you scream. And if it was real Black Bolt, he'd be like, Master Blow, and just crush his face because Black Bolt is so much cooler than everyone else. I'm sick of this
Even
shit.
Doc Savage?
No.
Doc Savage would.
Doc Savage could outscream.
He would
Black
be the
Bolt.
best Black Bolt.
He would be.
He would be the best Black Bolt. If there was a
He'd
Black
be
Bolt
the best
contest
Black Bolt.
and Black Bolt was in it, he would lose to Doc Savage.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
What
Like Black Bolt eats planets. I mean, not Black Bolt. Doc Savage can eat a planet better than Galactus.
Yeah.
Because he's Black Bolt. No,
Well,
he's
what
Doc
about
Savage.
the contest of who's the better Doc Savage, and Doc Savage is up against Doc Savage for the best Doc Savage?
When the universe breaks and we all cease to exist.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you divide by 0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I may bring back an old internet meme.
Total system failure.
Doc Savage they would shake hands and be very cordial.
Yeah. They'd be like,
We wouldn't have like a time cop moment.
Doc Savage. Here's the thing about Doc Savage. Doc Savage cures death and then plans to give it away for free.
He's like Elon Musk.
But then it explodes.
But,
like
he is
he is
somehow outsmarted.
He's the best Elon Musk.
yeah, he's Doc Savage.
Yeah. He gets outsmarted because
What if Elon Musk is Doc Savage in hiding?
is he I don't think he's ripped.
I don't know. I've never seen him without a suit on.
Yeah. I don't think he's tan or bronzed,
Yeah.
as it were.
Again, in hiding.
The best pale makeup.
Yeah. But yeah, okay. Now, you never did, so just before, as we're winding down, who is your favorite Muppet?
Favorite Muppet?
And yes, that includes the Sesame Street Muppets.
And the Dark Crystal Muppets.
And the Labyrinth Muppets.
And Star Wars.
Not the Ninja Turtles.
What? They were Jim Henson's shop
Yeah,
creation.
the first two, yes.
But no, that doesn't include them.
Because then it would just be like, oh, clearly the fucking Ninja Turtles.
But which Ninja Turtle?
Wait, are we also including Eureka's Castle?
Is it seriously going to be? Is it seriously going to be someone's castle?
Right? Like, okay, Eureka.
Sure. Yes. For the sake of argument, yes.
Just be prepared to be mocked.
That one just popped in out of nowhere. Well, it's going to be a tie, a 3-way tie.
I love 3-ways
between
and ties.
The Count from Eureka's Castle.
Oh shit!
You went there.
Beaker,
of course,
and the 2 hecklers.
So that's like a 4-way tie.
Yeah.
Well,
Unless
they're a package deal.
No, you can separate Statler and
Statler.
No, I don't.
They are conjoined twins who don't look anything alike.
Under the coop,
like
under
Matt Damon and who is it? Kevin Kline?
Greg Kinnear.
Greg Kinnear.
Yeah, and Stuck on You. Yeah. Yeah, that movie. Yeah, fuck that.
Someone's favorite movie.
Someone's favorite movie is Stuck on You.
It's not a bad movie.
Yeah, it's just.
I remember enjoying it.
Good night.
Yeah.
I'm just
the
gonna
last
see
episode of
myself
Geek
out.
Out. That.
Yeah.
Okay, that was where we draw the line.
Just
Good.
hear,
Okay, good
just
to
hear
know.
the revolver cock, and it's just like, sorry, boys. God save the Queen. Yeah, my lord.
He wasn't even English.
God save the Queen.
I always thought that was like the most like overwrought sequence in all of Titanic, which is a movie full of overwrought sequences when the guy shoots himself and he's just like, God save the Queen, and blows his brains out, and everyone's like, well, fuck that guy. And they just keep going about their business. Fucking Titanic.
But yeah, those are my favorite Muppets.
That's quite the list, quite the lineup.
Yeah, I was a lot more simple, and I just went with Gonzo.
Swedish Chef.
Pepe the King Prawn.
Yeah. If I had to pick a Sesame Street one, Cookie Monster.
Snuffleupagus.
Snuffleupagus is cool.
Well, you are our imaginary friend, Josh, so.
Oscar the Grouch.
Yeah, I was going to go towards Grouch, too.
Yeah. Either that or Grover. Yeah.
Yeah.
With his big arms, always like,
Oh, wait, no. Captain Vegetable.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He only had like 1 or 2 skits, so don't give me that worried face like, what?
He's a deep cut. He's a deep cut.
It is I, Captain Vegetable, with my carrots and my celery. I could do the whole song, but I won't.
Thank you. Yeah. So, what comic book title do you plan to get your father into next? Iron Fist.
I tried it because I had recently
kind of subtly slid.
Well, I started
in his morning paper.
You You put the dust jacket for a Daredevil comic, but inside it's actually Iron Fist, and you just slide it to him.
Well, I've been trying. What was the one I've been trying really? Well, I mean, Iron Fist, yes, because I recently bought the collection of the Brubaker Fraction stuff, which I've been reading and really enjoying. And I'm like, hey, like this is going to be one of the next big ones to check out. And he was just like, he didn't say anything. So maybe when he sees it like live action, it'll be like, this is when he really lets loose.
Iron Fist, he's perfect.
Yeah, he's perfect. I seriously, he's never said like he loves Green Arrow. He loves some Green Arrow. Never said he was perfect.
How does he feel? Because Batman's another street level guy.
I think he likes Batman. Because he would kind of peek his head in when we were watching Smallville, and he kind of liked the Lex Luthor business kind of like stuff. Like,
Sure.
oh, that's kind of cool. This like super crazy businessman, like evil dude. And then he loved like when Green Arrow showed up on that show. And funny enough, I think Josh was the one who posted it. People are saying Justin Hartley. I don't know if it was just a rumor or if it was like for real. Okay, it should be real. I would be so down for Justin Hartley, the original Green Arrow, on the small screen to play Iron Fist.
I also heard some rumors about like they actually want full-on martial artists.
Yeah,
that are like Ray Park is, for example. I don't think he's on the list because he's a little.
Yeah, I mean for the martial arts, it's easier to, I guess, easier to teach acting because like they're like full-on like he's like the greatest martial artist of all time.
That's what they did with Power Rangers.
So
all those guys were actually martial artists.
So they did for that movie Miracle for hockey players.
Yeah.
But yeah, for
Zero Dark 30 with SEALs.
What was the?
No, it wasn't that one.
No,
it was Act of Valor.
Yeah, sorry.
What was the? There was one book though. Well, I knew that he would really dig. He used to watch The Lone Ranger as a kid, and the Brett Matthews relaunch in 2006. I think if he dug into that, he'd really dig it.
You know, it's a good gateway drug for actual drugs.
Pot.
Yeah. Oh no, the for Iron Man, Extremis.
That's right.
It's a good one by Warren Ellis.
Extremis.
Yeah.
Also a great gateway drug in general.
Yeah. It's a great comic book. It's a good if you're looking for a jumping on point for Iron Man, that's the way to go. If you're looking for a jumping on point for Captain America, of course, the Winter Soldier book by Ed Brubaker and Steve Epting is a fantastic story. In terms of I'm trying to think of other big Marvel like characters that are getting like marquee moments
or had major events like that.
Well, I mean, just like that are part of the zeitgeist these days, right? Like Thor. I don't know, maybe the Jason Aaron run.
Well,
probably closer to the Straczynski run from
Walt Simonson's run's like legendary. For
it is, but it's like there's something like about comics that are like pre-2000s. Like, if you go back and reread Death of Superman, I love Death of Superman.
Mm-hmm.
It's the, as we've all stated, it's like where we all kind of started with our comic book reading.
Met a new person that was that was their jumping on point, too.
Nice. Yeah, because that was a huge seller, right?
Yeah.
Golly.
Oh,
my voice. Oh, puberty. Oh.
Okay, Chief, I'll go get those pictures of Superman.
Yeah, I just regressed into my pubescent state. But the
you guys really love to imitate me.
Yeah.
Oh,
the
touch it.
Yeah. I watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's all I got. Heroes is coming back. That's yeah. But in terms of they still kind of feel dated.
Yeah.
They're still like half written for kids almost.
Yeah.
You get that with like there's that one my least favorite part of Death of Superman is you get that one kid that's like all like angry at his, like he's like clearly like drawn to look like Axl Rose.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah,
God.
fuck you, Mom. At least Dad, I'm not gonna, Dad knew when to walk away. And then like Doomsday shows up and he's like, oh, Mom, oh. And then Superman's like, fuck you. And then like knocks Superman or Doomsday into a lake. It's like, job well done. And then dies. He gets beaten to death on national television.
Yeah.
But
after Doomsday looks at an ad for wrestling and is able to correlate that it's at Metropolis, and that he must go to
Metropolis equal fight. Like that's like his thought process in that. That's straight from the comic book. He's like fighting Superman in a department store, sees an ad like Chris was saying for a wrestling match that takes place in Metropolis. Is like, oh, I like fight Metropolis equal fight go Metropolis, and that's like that really epitomizes like that's probably the element that ages the worst. Like there's elements from, I mean, during Walt Simonson's run, Thor turns into a fucking frog for 2 issues. I own both of them. I know. There's like, it's really stuff like Frank Miller's Daredevil. Like Frank Miller's Daredevil is not the standard. It's the anomaly from that period. Dark Knight Returns, you look at all the other Batman stuff that, like Batman the Cult, which is a pretty good story. He fucking retakes Gotham City in a monster truck with tranquilizer dart machine guns. Only in the 80s would the Batmobile be a fucking monster truck, Which is actually, now that I'm saying this out loud, it's like
fucking awesome.
He
metal. He does have a tank in Dark Knight Returns, to be fair.
But that's like pragmatic.
You gotta think of a lot of these runs these comics had at the time period. It's like, didn't Stark start out as a weapons manufacturer for like the Vietnam War?
Yeah,
and that's where his accident happened.
Yeah, it takes place in Vietnam, and then in the Extremis, it's updated to Afghanistan.
Yeah,
in the 90s. Yeah, and stuff. So it's like little things like that. Like I love comic books, but something around. I'm trying to think where that renaissance happened.
Batman had a gun at one point. And then decided they were bad.
I don't even know if it's I mean, I think. Here's the thing. I think a lot of people grew up on the Frank Millers of the world, and like I said, Frank Miller is such a huge beacon in comics. But the Alan Moores, the Grant Morrisons of the world are now the people who are writing comics now. And it's kind of like the same people who are now making movies now and making TV shows. And they understand the importance and how you can make it something special and not just, it's another comic book, goofy, fun.
But I really do feel like around that early to mid 2000s, everyone suddenly, there's a switch. Like Grant Morrison starts writing Batman. Or you could even argue it starts with Jeff Loeb writing Batman for Hush, which is in 2003 when he gets started on that.
We get the Jeff Johns of the world. Like
Jeff
I said,
Johns
I think
writing action comics.
I think a lot of it is those people grew up because you had that first wave of the British comic guys, the Alan Moore, Neil Gaiman, Grant Morrison guys who come over and are like
Jamie Delano and Hellblazer.
Yeah, they're like, these are American comics. Well, the freaking British are coming. They're going to take over and kick ass, and they did.
Swamp British invasion.
Yeah, Swamp Thing, Animal Man, Sandman. They come in and just totally
Doom Patrol,
kick ass. Yeah. And so I feel like those guys who grew up reading that and saw that turn.
If you think of it, Sandman's on the stands the same time as the death of Superman.
Yeah,
there's a big difference in quality.
Yeah,
with those books.
But then you get Preacher too, starting out. A year or two after that. Or a couple years after that.
It starts in the late 90s.
Late 90s. And I
think even earlier, you could argue that the groundwork for Garth Ennis making waves is in Hitman in the mid 90s.
Yeah. So again, I feel like a lot of it is these people inspiring younger generations grow up to inspire the next generation of whatever comic writers, film, movies.
Even as every generation, you get different kind of material. Like, again, the difference between Sandman to Superman to, hell, even the Lone Ranger. You get all different kinds of material being brought to the comic book format.
You look at, the late 90s, though, even fucking Superman, the beacon of all superheroes, went through this weird, almost comedy phase with Red and Blue Superman and Lois Lane stuck in the middle. And it was just well,
you gotta look at, what were the sales of the book at that point?
Superman...
usually when something like that happens, it's either because the sales are starting to teeter off or because they just brought on some new blood and want to try something new and silly.
It was definitely a gimmick. It was definitely a way to drive sales because Superman sales plummeted after Superman came back, right? They never hit the heights of Death of Superman, which, to be fair, is because no one expected him to come back in 8 months.
And to be fair, it's kind of hard to hit a point after something like that.
But I feel like also I don't know. Again, I'm going to mention Frank Miller for the millionth time because if you didn't know by now, I love Frank Miller. But
these couple episodes have all been about Frank Miller.
But the thing about Frank Miller is, and any of those guys, like Grant Morrison is one of my favorites. There was a time when DC and Marvel were willing to give characters C-list characters to new talent and say, do what you want with them.
Yeah, Swamp Thing was at risk of cancellation when Alan Moore took it over.
And I don't feel like that happens that much anymore. You know,
nowadays it's like, I feel like creators have to do a marquee character.
Yeah.
And they're like, you'll get us, and you do this marquee character, and we'll give you a lesser known character where you can just cut, go fucking wild.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, I
that's
guess
nothing new at all.
Well, kind of.
Well, I mean, maybe in the comic book format, but a lot of other, creator creation things like television, film, what have you. That's not a new concept.
Well, I mean, the one for you, one for me, one for them. Yeah, but in terms of like comic books, yes, because you figure like Fraction. Please write Thor and Iron Man. But guess what? You get to have your cake and eat it too, because you can do whatever the fuck you want on Hawkeye, which is awesome because that was like the best book of the three. In terms of Dan Slott, it's like write Spider-Man, but you can do whatever the fuck you want on Silver Surfer, stuff like that. It's like that kind of dichotomy. It's like there's the corporate character that only you can write, and if you do it, you can write this book, and we'll kind of like ease off. And I feel like DC is starting to work that way. They're starting to ease off the editorial control. With
I think
stuff
so.
Like,
yeah,
with
but
Batgirl and like
isn't also because of decisions like that why also there were the creator-owned publications.
Well, we're starting to see a real renaissance on creator-owned books too. Right around, honestly, a little after the level of like the Captain America Winter Soldier, the Iron Man Extremis. Now you got me saying Extremis. God damn you.
But yeah, I mean, Image did change the game because now, as opposed to having that brand, like that young kind of artist or just writer coming in and giving this shit character and turning him into gold, they're creating their own books with Image, or they're creating their own book and bringing it to Image, or Dynamite or IDW or someone else, or Boom, has some good stuff.
Now, watching the success of Robert Kirkman, who used to write Irredeemable Ant-Man and used to write the Ultimate X-Men for Marvel, and seeing him with one of the hottest selling comic books of all time, The Walking Dead, and they're like, ooh, shit, I want some of that. You got Brian K. Vaughan, who's writing The Runaways for Marvel and was writing Ultimate X-Men a little before Robert Kirkman. Now he's like cleaning up with Saga. That's his big like crown jewel.
Yeah.
You got Brubaker who wrote of course Captain America, just the Captain America title for like 7 years, which is one, unheard of, but two, he did it.
Well, yeah, that's another thing. Longevity is not much of a thing anymore either. Like, I think of like a lot of writers and creative teams are kind of doing like an arc or two and then kind of going on to something else.
Yeah, like Jeff Johns on Superman.
Yeah.
Either they make the decision or they're just like, we're going to place you over here now, see what you can do for this.
Yeah, I feel like after issue 50, Scott Snyder's done with Batman for the foreseeable future.
Really?
He's always kind of said like, oh, maybe I'll re-sign, but at the same time he's publishing books like Witches. He's working on American Vampire, which I feel has kind of suffered from, taking the delays from writing so many books. Because I don't remember the last time I've seen an American Vampire book on the stands. I
think there's one coming. I think there's one coming out soon.
Yeah, he said a little while ago that he was going to take a couple months off from American Vampire so he could focus on Batman and stuff like that.
It's not bad seeing people constantly switch around.
Yeah, I mean, and that's
keep it fresh.
Well, he had taken a several-month hiatus after he finished the first volume of American Vampire. I mean, and then relaunched it as American Vampire Second Cycle, and so because he was writing at that time, he was writing Batman, he was writing Superman Unchained, he was wrapping up Swamp Thing, and he was writing The Wake, which was his creator-owned Vertigo book. And now, of course, so his books now are Batman, Witches, and American Vampire Second Cycle. So, yeah, I mean, you're right. We came out of a period, and I think that might have to do with, that kind of rebirth of comic interest in the early to mid 2000s, where it was guys like Bendis on Daredevil. He wrote a fuck ton of Daredevil. He was on that book for years and years and years, and he wrote the Avengers in some form from like New Avengers on from like 2003 to 2012. That's like almost a decade of writing Avengers books.
Yeah.
Brubaker wrote Captain America for 7 years. Fraction wrote Iron Man for like 4 years. Like, we don't get, and I think there is something to be said for long form storytelling, and I kind of miss it. Really.
Yeah.
The big epic runs, like Charles Soule writing Swamp Thing for about 15 issues for about over a year. And that's crazy. The fact that I'm saying like just a little, not even 2 years, and I consider that a long run.
Yeah.
Because it compared to those other runs, it really isn't. So.
Well, maybe the fans' attention spans aren't where they used to be, and they want to just keep trying out new material, new writers, so they don't lose them that quickly.
I feel like, especially with Marvel, we see a mini relaunch every so often, be it Marvel Now or All New Marvel Now or whatever is coming after Secret Wars. I guess all new, all different Marvel Now.
Yeah.
All new, all different. Who haven't we killed yet?
Well, I don't think it's not that they kill off the characters, right? It's just that they relaunch them. Like with Daredevil, they relaunched the title, same creative team, but they relaunched the title with a new #1 when he moved to San Francisco.
That's a guy that's been on the book for a while, though.
Although,
yeah, Wade
been on for a
is
while.
and Chris is going to hate me for saying this. That's the exception that proves the rule.
Yeah.
Quack. That's Chris punching me across the mouth.
It's like saying I could care less. Like
it's like saying hand over fist.
Yeah.
The fuck does that mean?
well,
no. I mean, you can't prove a rule with an exception. It's the exact opposite. It's proving that people aren't following the rule.
That's like saying something like there is.
Yeah, but Mark Wade's been writing Daredevil for about 4 years, somewhere thereabouts, 3-4 years now.
So far, what is like the average runtime of a creator on a book?
I don't know. It could be like anywhere from 6 issues.
Yeah,
Like
Charles Soule was
Yeah,
only
6 issues is like the minimum.
Yeah, just for like a story arc.
I mean, with Warren Ellis when he did Moon Knight, he did 6 issues.
Yeah, when Charles Soule did
And-
Thunderbolts, he did 6 issues.
Yeah.
Like of recent period we're talking about.
That's this year.
Yeah.
So he just did 6 and then was like
2015.
moved on to something else?
Yeah.
And then the book continued or was
Yeah, book continued.
For all the hullabaloo about Scott Snyder on Superman Unchained, that was billed as an ongoing series. It lasted 9 issues. And not because it didn't sell well, but because that's all he had in him.
Yeah.
Well that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, Jeff Johns for Superman was what, 32 to 39?
yeah.
I mean, granted, he's a busy dude. I would have
Yeah.
loved for him to have been on that book longer. But
Yeah. The one, his exception is he's been writing Justice League.
Justice League, yeah.
since
And he
issue
did
1.
he did Aquaman for what, the first 3.5 volumes?
The thing is, he was on Aquaman for about 2 years
Mm-hmm.
compared to those runs I was listing.
Yeah,
And
that's a long
but
time.
that's considered a long time now.
yeah.
Like that's the thing. That a while ago that wasn't considered a long time. Jeff Johns was on Green Lantern from 2004 to 2013.
Rucka was on Cyclops for like 6 issues too, right?
He was only on for the first 5.
5.
He was
Now,
on for a story arc.
Were they on that long because they really were enjoying it and had something to tell, or because their bosses were keeping them there?
Well, it's not like they can afford. Like you're gonna fucking write.
You have to write
Yeah.
Spider-Man for 7 years.
Yeah.
I only have one story. Make it up. Come up with fiction.
Yeah. I mean,
It's fucking fiction.
It's fucking fiction, man.
I think
fucking prawns, man.
speaking of speaking of fucking fiction, Grant Morrison was on Batman for 8 years, or 7 years. That's fucking from 2006 to 2013. That's fucking incredible. And I think the reason they stay on for that long is because they really have something genuinely to say. Ed Brubaker turned Captain America into an espionage book. He took it away from like the flights. Well, he can't fly, but he kept it away from he tries to fly, lands.
Yeah.
Are you friend? Just like his run over.
My shield can save me. Are you friend?
And then gets run over by Bucky.
Aim for the bushes.
Yeah.
Like Fraction put a lot of himself. There's a lot of Fraction's personality in his Iron Man run. Especially when it comes to Tony Stark dealing with addiction, because Fraction has also dealt with addiction in his life. I don't know what Bendis' excuse is on the Avengers. I guess he just likes those dudes hanging out.
Maybe he's got a pair of tights somewhere.
Have you ever seen? Well, sure, different strokes around the world. In terms of Jeff Johns and Green Lantern, it was his fearlessness that kept him. He always loved that idea that Hal was so reckless and wouldn't shy away from a challenge. That's what attracted him to the character so much.
Well, also, I feel like with these names and the stories they've been telling and the kind of statuses they've been gaining because of these long runs, they've almost become like Rockstar Legends.
Kind of. I mean,
Rockstar Games?
Yeah. Rockstar Games presents Green Lantern, Grand Theft Lantern. I want that game, Rockstar. But if you think about,
we want royalties from it.
Yeah.
Don't
pay DC. Don't pay DC. Pay me.
Well, you're the one that came up with the idea.
Yeah.
You're the idea man. You deserve something.
Sure.
A quarter on the dollar.
Give me some cutback, sure. But the
hand over fist.
Yeah. Pay me hand over fist. But the
so you want to be fisted and smacked, as long as that hand that's smacking is over the fist.
You're
ding.
Yeah. Don't think too hard.
Ding.
Yeah. Yeah, if you think about it, what was Green Lantern before Jeff Johns started writing him? He was a fucking joke.
Space Cop.
Yeah. What was Captain America before Ed Brubaker started
fly.
writing him?
Red, white, and blue.
Well, I mean, to be fair, he was red and white and blue when he started writing him too. But he was a cardboard cutout of a character. Like
he ran out of Nazis to kill.
Yeah, I'm not saying. Well, that's the thing about Captain America. Captain America, interestingly enough, he's always fighting characters from his past, which shows that he can never fully escape his past. But he's also fighting characters from a time he can't recognize. Right. So he's always fighting Baron Zemo, and he's always fighting Armin Zola, and of course the Red Skull being the big. But he's also fighting guys from an America that's gone wrong, like the Watchdogs or the Grand Director, which was the Captain America from the 50s that went fucking insane.
I remember that one.
Yeah. You've got the cool thing about Iron Man is you can trace Iron Man, I think, best reflects what we're scared of as a nation in his adversaries. So when Iron Man starts out, he's fighting communists. Almost all of his opponents are communists. He's fighting Crimson Dynamo, Titanium Man, Black Widow, Spy Master, all these like very, very like Cold War, era opponents.
From a weapon / arms,
but very much cold. But I mean, they're all working for the Soviet Union or whatever. And then he ends up taking on like corporate criminals in the 80s when we start to when Wall Street with Michael Douglas is out and we're concerned about like the wolves of Wall Street. So he's taking on Obadiah Stane. He's taking on Justin Hammer. That's the product of the 80s. And nowadays we're worried about like technology gone bad. So he's taking on extremists. He's taking on Ezekiel Stane. He's taking on all these kind of like this kind of hacker culture.
And then you get a street level character like Daredevil, and he's taking on Wilson Fisk. Which is a mob boss. The
interesting thing about Bullseye. Daredevil, yeah.
Okay, an assassin hired to kill him.
Well, Daredevil's always been about taking on like
nuke.
Yeah, you always bring in
there. It is.
Oh, okay. He's taking on the A-bomb.
Well, he's taking on like the government.
The character Nuke.
Yeah. The guy with the American flag tattooed on his face.
Takes red, white, and blue.
He's
pills.
also taking on people in like Man Without Fear, for example, that are more real than any colorful bullcrap villain like Bullseye. Not the Bullseye. It's bullcrap. You're not going to see a guy like Bullseye running around in that outfit.
But you could see a guy like Kingpin.
You could see a guy
maybe
like
not
Kingpin,
a guy that
or
can
you can
crush
see
a guy with his hands,
or you can see nameless thugs, whatever, which is going to be more scary than anything else because that's something you know is out there and you can see. You're not fighting robot men or cosmic beings. That's why I think the street level characters have become really interesting for a lot of people nowadays because it's something that is real and we see all the time on the news, and it's something that this outlet to see characters fight back at that.
Yeah, it's interesting because like guys like the Punisher and Moon Knight have to take on street level thugs, like no name thugs, because they fucking kill them all the time.
Yeah,
I'm not saying they're. Yeah,
well, I'd say the Punisher's the closest to an actual maybe street level guy because other than like being in the military, he's just shooting a lot of people.
Yeah, he doesn't have any powers. He just has lots of fucking guns, and he knows how to use them. But the thing,
any nut could be the Punisher, which is a horrible way to put it. But
but like
any card game member of the NRA,
anyone can get a Penske truck.
Yes, it's true,
and run over people in DC.
Well,
yeah. We don't condone such behavior.
No.
Just like everyone else who runs across the Punisher doesn't condone what he does.
Yeah, though the police tend to turn a blind eye.
Because they'll get shot in the fucking face if they don't.
Well, he doesn't shoot the police. He'll evade capture, but he won't kill the police unless they're like corrupt police, in which case he's like, well, fuck you, I'm the Punisher. Prepare for punishment.
You're saying if he's actually cornered and no way out, he will willingly be taken into custody?
Yes, because I have read those stories for starters. Secondly, you know what fucking prison is for the Punisher? It's an all-you-can-eat buffet.
Yeah. It's like Rorschach being stuck in there.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
You're not. I'm not in there with them. They're in there with me.
Here's the thing. Brubaker's first story arc on Daredevil, and I love how we're tying this all together. And then we'll sign off, and you guys can go home and do whatever you do. Watch Daredevil, hopefully.
Yeah, watch Daredevil.
Yeah, play Super Mario 64 or do other things.
Watch the Mad Max trailer again.
Yes, always.
Yeah, or just watch, the Mad Max movies with our commentaries coming soon.
Or by the time you're listening to this, have watched the Ant-Man trailer again.
Hopefully.
So go ahead.
The first story arc is the Devil in Cell Block D, where it's Daredevil or Matt Murdock in prison, and the Punisher's in prison too. And the Punisher's like, I can get out whenever I want.
Yeah.
Like when they're talking, he's like, I can kind of get out. Like, I can escape whenever I want, but I don't want to.
Well, I get a feeling, Josh, do you not like the Punisher?
No, I enjoy the Punisher.
Okay.
I just have that kind of twisted fascination with the way how he does his
how
justice.
does he operate?
Yeah, at a time, and you wouldn't be alone in that twisted fascination. Because in the 90s, he was such a popular character that he had 3 fucking ongoings at once. You know how...
And he's had how many movies as well?
Well,
3 if you count, or 4 if you count John Wick.
Yes.
Yeah, but...
which I do.
Yes, but... Superman struggles keeping 3 ongoing series. His 3rd ongoing series is fucking a team-up book with Batman. And then he's got a 4th one where it's a team-up book with Wonder Woman. But
Yeah, no, I will say, and this happens every generation with comics, and just, it could happen, quite constantly, is you eventually do get tired of an individual like that's basically god level.
Well...
Without being an actual god from mythology.
The trick with Superman
is, you don't write him based upon his abilities.
You write him based on him being Clark Kent, not based on him being Superman.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just going to be Superman fights giant robot / monster in the streets of Metropolis, like every other fucking story.
Titano.
Or the person telling his story, you write from experiences.
Yeah.
Like Greg Pak. Greg
Pak is awesome. Greg Pak is doing, the Lord's work on Action Comics right now. Read Greg Pak's Action Comics if you haven't before. But, yeah.
Or I'm a huge Batman fan. Eventually you get tired of, I am so brilliant and so rich, I've thought 16 moves ahead of you on how to defeat you.
The trick to writing Batman is you
send him back in time.
And bring him back as a Darkseid bomb. The trick with Batman is when you're writing Batman, you are writing Batman, but what does this particular encounter with X opponent say about Batman? Because the best Batman villains reflect the most, a twisted fraction of his psyche. You've got the duality that lies within Two-Face. You've got the madness and the absence of order that lies within the Joker.
You've got the environmental obsession that lies inside Poison Ivy.
Well, Poison Ivy Poison Ivy is literal cooties, right? You touch Poison Ivy, you fucking die. So you've got all of Batman's hang-ups on women are the women he can't have because he's fucking Batman are personified by Poison Ivy, and to a lesser extent by Catwoman. The love of his life is like a career criminal for a guy that's a career crime fighter. That you can't reconcile that. You've got the pure obsession and the emotional remoteness of Mr. Freeze. That's really what, So I think when you're writing Batman, you have to think about what each character, like with Scott Snyder's run, the Court of Owls represents a force that knows Gotham and has been around Gotham longer than Batman. That was very much kind of a challenge to the idea that, I'm Batman. Nobody knows Gotham City better than me. And then the Court of Owls show up and they're like, oh, by the way, we've been here the entire time and we're about to fuck your shit up. And he's like, oh, God, okay.
Golly.
And with Death of the Family, the first Scott Snyder Joker story, it's kind of remember when it was just you and me and you didn't have all these strings? You didn't have Robin and you didn't have Nightwing and you didn't have Batgirl.
You didn't have distractions.
Yeah, and it's let's bring it back to how it was.
Let's get the band back together.
Yeah, well, let's get rid of the band and just make it a onesie-twosie again. Yeah. That's what that story was from a personal level for Bruce Wayne. That's what that story was about. So I don't know. I could kind of to take back the thing. I looked up hand over fist
to see if I could figure out what it was.
Please.
So I only read one article because I didn't feel like being rude and not pay attention to what you guys were talking about while I was looking this up. But
Sure.
So the article prefaced with, we're not totally sure that this is the right thing, but we've done some research and this is what it looks like.
The research is them just like putting their hand over their fist. Just like,
what can we do with this? So it said that it's most likely a reference to nautical work, basically bundling rope. So what you're doing is you have a fistful of rope, and you got your hand bringing in, the next.
You're coiling.
Well, yeah, exactly. While you're coiling, and then somehow it then became used as a reference to doing repetitive work, and then getting shit done, and all kinds of
repetitive motion.
Yeah, and then it was used in a finance magazine or something like that for like, oh, he was bringing in money hand over fist, pulling it in a lot, kind of like what I was kind of alluding to, but like went off in the wrong direction too, but like just pulling in a lot of money quickly. So there you go, hand over fist.
That's it.
Yeah,
there you go. And I think on that note, I think that's the perfect stopping point.
Yeah,
for this week's episode.
Yeah.
So this has been another installment of Catching Up. I'm Sam.
I'm Chris.
I'm Jake.
And I'm Josh.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Good night, Eric Bana.